Playing on a stage where gravity is almost 6 times weaker than on Earth is one hell of a fucking experience, let me tell you that. But we love our fans and we're ready to play for them anytime, anywhere. To get ready for a gig like that, we had to arrive at the Artemis 3 base almost 2 weeks in advance. Even I, despite the fact that all I do on stage is sing and don't play any instrument at all, needed time to adjust. Can you imagine? Me, of all people, had to get used to the way my own fucking breathing worked. Who would have thought? I noticed it almost immediately on the very first day after we arrived at our first rehearsal. I tried to sing something and my breathing just wasn't working the way it does on Earth. Even my vocal support felt completely different. It was a complete shit show. As a result, my breathing became unstable and I started making mistakes in the longest and most demanding passages. I was getting tired noticeably faster too. It's a very strange sensation, and adapting to it takes time. The engineers at the lunar base explain the gravity affects how blood and air are distributed throughout the body, as well as how the diaphragm works. And up there, all of that functions differently than it does on Earth. On my first day at the base, I constantly felt like my face had swollen up, and honestly, I felt so fucking awful that they diagnosed me with space adaptation syndrome. Luckily for me, 2 days later, I puked. I shat my guts out, and everything went back to normal. During the concert, we wore special boots with magnetic lock and mechanisms, and the stage itself was covered with metal. That was to keep us from flying the fuck off the stage every time we launched into another immortal hit. When you suddenly weigh 6 times less than usual, it's incredibly hard to calculate your movements properly. Any scream or even a damn fart can have catastrophic consequences, and before you know it, you've drifted right over the audience's heads and accidentally exited your own fucking concert. The crowd had to wear the same freak show footwear too, and spent the whole gig stomping around on metal decking. And that's not even the weird part. Everyone in the audience also had to wear special low-frequency enhancers under their clothes, because those damn bass frequencies are perceived completely differently up there. But that's still nothing. Even a guitar weighs less than a kilogram on the moon. How is that even a thing? On one hand, it's nice. On the other, the moment you start playing, you realize it doesn't feel right at all. Your brain has spent literal decades learning how to play under a completely different load. In the end, our guitarist had to wear small stabilizing harnesses in addition to those ridiculous boots, and they had to read just the links of their guitar straps. But even that wasn't the worst of it. But our drummer had it worst. To stop him from shooting through a window every time he hit a cymbal, we literally tied his legs to the drum kit, which, by the way, had also been bolted firmly to the floor, and we had to stabilize the cymbals themselves as well. Without that, they kept oscillating for too long, and instead of the usual tight rhythm, we were constantly being assaulted by some nauseating sonic bullshit. Well, honestly, if you think everything through properly and prepare for it the right way, it could turn into one absolutely mind-blowing event. Can you imagine what would have happened if we brought along some insanely spectacular dance crew? They'd be spinning like a whirlwind over the audience, literally soaring several meters above the stage. At that point, it wouldn't just be some weird but otherwise ordinary gig with backup dancers. It would become something entirely different. It would be a completely insane, jaw-dropping, mind-melting spectacle. Not just another gig in a difficult location, no. It would be something fundamentally new. A goddamn interplanetary freak-out. Something that belongs not to Earth anymore, but directly to space itself. To that new extraterrestrial branch of human civilization that's only just beginning to emerge. Thanks.